Hey guys, welcome back to Free Tip Friday. Ugh. Today I'm just giving you guys the goods. I've run out of just kind of tacky, generic tips about your shop. So I'm just gonna get into the good stuff about how to cut super tight joinery with a router. So for those of you who don't already know the benefits of using brass bushings, guide bushings on your router and simple templates made out of scrap pieces of MDF, here's how it goes. Making some beds for my boys. So I got 6 different rails with 3 mortised, housed through mortises in each one. So that's like 18 of these joints that are identical. So obviously I'm not gonna cut those with a drill and a chisel by hand because you just will not get the same consistency throughout and it'll take a lifetime to finish. So when you're doing mass production type joinery like this, you wanna just use a template. This template takes a couple minutes to make. You just take a scrap piece of MDF or plywood or any kind of sheet good that you have around the shop, usually 3/4 inch thick. I find whatever the size is that my housed tenon or section of wood is gonna be. And then because I'm using a set size brass bushing, this one is exactly 1/16 wider than the bit. So I just take whatever size timber I'm using, add an 1/8 to it, right? 16th on either side all the way around. Add an 1/8 to those measurements. I just set this thing on the chop saw, right? That's the sound it makes. It's a pretty cool chop saw. And voila, you have a template. And then, name that movie. And then once you lay out your template, once you've got the size right, for your opening, you lay your template on the piece of wood, right? To make sure that you got even margins where you've drawn your mortise out. I check mine with a square too to make sure she's square to the edge. Line it up in place. Once you got the spot on there, just take some 2P10 and the activator here, and then you just glue a little fence on there. Once you have it in place like that, and then just glue that on, and then you got a fence that'll just slide along to every mortise, and you're exactly the same distance away from your edge every time. Eliminates the margin for error. Another thing you want to note is you always want to make your template kind of as large as possible. Don't try and shrink it down because you got the base of your router, which is 3 inches or something like that. Plus you want to leave room for clamps. So I can use my hold downs. In this case, I just drop my hold down on there, hammer that in, put another one on this corner. Got the fence holding it tight here. That's not going anywhere. So let's house this joint and then we'll take a look at how it worked. All right, so these rounded corners are staying on the bottom. And I just squared up the top corners because that's what this joint calls for. And then you can see, I took my hammer, round-faced hammer. We don't just want it to fit. We want it to fit like a glove. I'd say that is a nice, tight fit. Now for the fun part. You're probably thinking, oh yeah, that's easy. Everybody knows how to do a routed housing with a brass bushing. This is where it gets complicated. Well, not really complicated, but just fun. Put a little block in there, insert block, and now I've got the rough out for my through tenon, which is right at the top of the housing, 1-inch through tenon going out the other side. So I can use the same template just by putting a little block in there. If you want, you can put a piece of tape across the bottom and then stick that in there and the tape will hold it, but it ain't gonna go nowhere once the router's sitting on top. So I just leave it in there loose. I'm gonna router out the housing deep, probably within about 3/4 of an inch of the other side. I don't wanna go right through. Well, I just don't have a bit that's long enough. You can't get a router bit long enough. I think the one I have is 2.5 inches and that's about as long as they get. And this beam here is 2 3/4. So I'm gonna stop short of the other side, and then I have a fun little trick for cutting from the other side with perfect precision every time. On the other side, we got our center line right here. Don't even know where the mortise is, doesn't matter. Just roughly center it. Put your jig on there. Rough draw out that. That's where we know the mortise is. We're gonna drill a hole right in the middle so we have the least margin for error. Put this flush cutting bit inside of our router. Drop it in that hole, bzz, it flushes itself out with the bearing. Perfect every time. Oh, I'm a genius. And I'm sure I didn't invent that, so you don't feel the need to correct me. Oh, you didn't invent it, blah, blah, blah. I know I didn't invent it. There's really no original ideas when it comes to woodworking these days. It's all been done before, but come on, you saw it here first. So just give the samurai some props, okay? I just need a little affirmation. Feeling really down, okay? See? There you have it. nice through mortar, so I just gotta square up the corners, you know, flatten it out with the file a wee bit, sand off the lines, beauty. All right, so that was one doozy of a Free Tip Friday, if I do say so myself. If you're wondering about any of the products I use in this video, where to get the brass bushings for your router, where to get 2P10, which is, if you don't know what this stuff is, I've done a whole video on it that you can check out, but what it is cyanotinylcanolate something scientific name glue. Most people call it CA glue. This is 2P10. It's just instant glue. You just put the glue on, you spray this on at 10 seconds, it's done. Stuff works amazingly well on MDF. This wood will break before I can pull these two pieces apart. So having this stuff in the shop will just save you so much time, because any little cracks or chips or chunks of wood that you split off one of your projects, you can just glue it back on, sand it flush, and just keep working right away, instead of having to like tape it and glue it and let it set for like a couple hours, which is a pain in the ass. Another handy tool for cleaning up the inside of your mortises is the Iwasaki made in Japan wood file. You can find this on my Amazon store, as well as the bushings, as well as the 2P10. Buying stuff from my Amazon store gives me a little bit of a commission and helps me keep this channel going. So I appreciate you guys watching. Please share the video, give it a like if you're not subscribed. What the heck? Till next time, Samurai out.